Once the Messiah came, all that part of the law goes away. All that part of the law goes away. And that happens immediately in the book of Acts. Peter has a vision. Remember that in Acts 10? That whole part of the Old Testament law, that ceremonial part, is gone.
Let me just say that in the era of Christ, in the New Testament, there are no foods declared unclean or off limits.
Ravioli, mostaccioli, artichokes, but this plate is much too small. I need room to eat it all, so I'll drink up all the punch and use the bowl to eat my lunch. Make a sandwich to the ceiling, watch me do it now with feeling. Goop some mustard and some custard on this mondo loaf of bread. Lettuce, turkey, pickles, cheese, scarf the whole thing down with these. Pat my belly, eat some jelly, don't forget the chip and dip.
Here are the questions on what we will be discussing today. What foods are considered clean and unclean to eat? Is this diet for everyone? Here are the types of laws found in the Bible or the scriptures. You have the moral law, the laws concerning the principles of right and wrong. You have the dietary laws, laws concerning what can and cannot be eaten. You have the sacrificial laws, laws concerning the killing and offerings of animals or fruits by fire to atone for wrongful doings. You have civil laws, the laws concerning the affairs between members of a community or household. And you have ceremonial laws, the laws concerning feast days and Shabbat days on what can and cannot be done on or during these times. These are the category or laws or types of laws found in the Bible or the scripture. Now that we see the categories of different laws, let's focus in on the dietary laws. Now, these laws were specifically designed for Israel and Israel only. However, any other nation that wanted to be part of Israel had to follow the same laws, commandments, and statutes. Now let us look at the clean and unclean diet of the children of Israel. What foods are considered clean and unclean to eat? Let's look at the dietary plan in which Elohim, God, have organized from the beginning. According to the word of God, foods are described as being clean or unclean. Clean foods are equal to being healthy, nutritious, and good to eat. While unclean foods are considered poisonous to our health, toxic, and not good for food to eat. Although everything was created and blessed, it was designed for a certain purpose. Today, man has corrupted the ways of the Most High. They have removed the ancient landmarks or laws and say do whatever and eat whatever.
Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
But as Israel and anyone who keeps Torah or the laws, we cannot do as what everyone else does. We have to keep the laws of the Most High, the laws of Israel.
And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so.
And the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good.
Whose seed is in itself is being defined as fruits or plants that produce seeds. In other words, all plants that produce seed are considered good to eat for food for Israel. And then there is another side to plants. They are known as spores. Spores are mosses, ferns, molds, and fungi. They do not produce seed, so these are not good for Israel to eat. In these early chapters, mankind was to be on a simple fruit and herb diet. But because of disobedience and the fall of man, the diet which was first introduced to be eaten and instructed to be eaten was now affected and changed in the upcoming chapters as a harsh punishment for disobedience.
And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them.
Due to the flood, the diet of man has now been changed. From an herb and fruit and seed diet to the introduction of meat. Therefore, the Most High instructed Noah on what was clean and unclean moving forward. The phrase after its kind simply means within the same category, same family, same genealogy, same family tree or gene. In other words, same type of animal.
And the Lord spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying unto them, Speak unto the children of Israel,
Not the whole world.
Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, These are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth. Whatsoever parteth the hoof, and is cloven-footed, and cheweth the cud among the beasts, that shall ye eat.
Chewing the cud. Let us take a look at this short video on understanding what the cud is.
Ruminants are a large group of animals within the hooved animals or artiodactyls. They're an important part of food chains over the world due to their unique digestive systems. While all herbivores draw energy from plant life, ruminant animals have a sophisticated digestive system that uses fermentation to help access energy in their diet. Many agricultural animals are ruminants, including cows, sheep, and goats. The ruminant diet consists of forages and roughage. Food that is not properly chewed is regurgitated up into the esophagus and back into the mouth. This partially chewed food is known as the cud. When an animal chews its cud, the cud is broken into smaller pieces and mixed with more saliva until it's more digestible.
The key to the cow's success lies here, the rumen. It's sort of the belief of every school child that the cow has 4 stomachs. That's not really true. What it has is one true stomach, the abomasum, which is exactly the same as our stomach. Upstream of that is a multi-compartmental fermentation vat, fermentation chamber, wherein live the microbes. Now, when the cow goes out to graze, she eats the grass really as quickly as possible and swallows it almost unchanged. That comes into the rumen, and at that point it's really quite difficult for the microbes to penetrate through the cell wall and start the chemical digestion of the plant fibre. So what the cow has also evolved is this really elegant mechanism of rumination. In this, she moves the food round in the rumen, and then a bolus of food is regurgitated, passes up to the mouth, and then she takes it in her mouth and chews it rather as old cowboys would chew tobacco, 20 chews on one side, 20 chews on the other. This breaks it up and it comes back down again into the rumen. The microbes, having done their work, then are passed out of the fermentation chamber into the abomasum, where they heroically die and give up their lives to provide protein for the cow to produce milk and meat for ourselves.
Here's a list of cud chewers that parteth the hoof.
Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, These are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth. Whatsoever parteth the hoof, and is cloven-footed, and cheweth the cud among the beasts, that shall ye eat.
So this is all the clean animals that we can eat. The rules are very, very simple. Cloven-footed, chewing the cud. And as you see, the list that I have here are all the animals that we can eat when it comes to the beasts that are clean for food for an Israelite to eat.
Whatsoever parteth the hoof, and is cloven-footed, and cheweth the cud among the beasts, that shall ye eat.
Nevertheless, these shall ye not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide the hoof. As the camel, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you.
Camels chew the cud, but do not part the hoof. They have what you call toes.
And the coney, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you.
These remaining animals that chew the cud is unclean, because they do not part the hoof.
And the hare, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you.
These remaining animals that chew the cud is unclean, because they do not part the hoof.
And the swine, Though he divide the hoof, and be cloven-footed, yet he cheweth not the cud. He is unclean to you. Of their flesh shall ye not eat, and their carcass shall ye not touch. They are unclean to you. They are unclean to you. They are unclean to you.
Hello, I would like to start my talk with actually two questions. And the first one is, how many people here actually eat pig meat? Please raise your hand. Oh, that's a lot. And how many people have actually seen a live pig producing this meat in the last year? And I spent about 3 years researching, and I followed this one pig with number 05049 all the way up until the end, to what products it's made of. And in these years, I met all kinds of people, like, for instance, farmers and butchers, which seems logical. But I also met aluminium mold makers, ammunition producers, and, well, all kinds of people. And what was striking to me is that the farmers actually had no clue of what was made of their pigs. But the consumers, as in us, had also no idea of the pigs being in all these products. So what I did is I took all this research and I made it into well, basically it's a product catalog of this one pig, and it carries a duplicate of its ear tag on the back. And it consists of 7 chapters. The chapters are skin, bones, meat, internal organs, blood, fat, and miscellaneous. You probably start the day with a shower. So in soap, fatty acids made from boiling pork bone fat are used as a hardening agent, but also for giving it a pearl-like effect. Then if you look around you in the bathroom, you see lots more products like shampoo, conditioner, anti-wrinkle cream, body lotion, but also toothpaste. Then so before breakfast, you've already met the pig so many times. Then at breakfast, the pig that I followed, the hairs of the pigs, or proteins from the hairs of the pig, were used as an improver of dough. Well, that's what the producer says, it's improving the dough, of course. In low-fat butter, or actually in many low-fat products, when you take the fat out, you actually take the taste and the texture out. So what they do is they put gelatin back in order to retain the texture. Well, when you're off to work, under the road or under the buildings that you see, there might very well be cellular concrete, which is a very light kind of concrete that's actually got proteins from bones inside, and it's also fully reusable. In the train brakes, at least in the German train brakes, there's this part of the brake that's made of bone ash. And in cheesecake and all kinds of desserts, like chocolate mousse, tiramisu, vanilla pudding, everything that's cooled in the supermarket, there's gelatin to make it look good. Fine bone china, this is a real classic, because the bone in the fine bone china gives it its translucency and also its strength in order to make these really fine shapes like this deer. In interior decorating, the pig's actually quite there. It's used in paint for the texture, but also for the glossiness. In sandpaper, bone glue is actually the glue between the sand and the paper. And then in paintbrushes, hairs are used because apparently they're very suitable for making paintbrushes because of their hard-wearing nature. I was not planning on showing you any meat, because of course half the book's meat, and you probably all know what meats they are. But I didn't want you to miss out on this one, because this, well, it's called portion-controlled meat cut. And this is actually sold in the frozen area of the supermarket. And what it is, it's actually steak. So this is sold as cow.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
But what happens when you slaughter a cow, at least in the industrial, well, factory farming, they have all these little bits of steak left that they can't actually sell as steak. So what they do is they glue them all together with fibrin from pig blood into this really large sausage, then freeze the sausage, cut it in little slices, and sell those as steak again. And this also actually happens with tuna and scallops.
The industry-wide secret butchers don't want you to know about. Major suppliers have been caught using a special product known as meat glue to stick together scraps of meat to sell as prime cuts. But while this product has been banned overseas, there's no law prohibiting its use here. Here's Rodney Lowe's with this special investigation.
It's the meat industry's dirty secret, a way of turning the scraps too small to sell as a premium steak back into a juicy, plump eye fillet to sell for a premium price. So clever, you'll never tell. Not even an expert can.
Before, you didn't even pick that as a join, though, did you?
It doesn't even tear through the joint. A bit hard to tell, isn't it?
Butcher James Faulkner runs Queensland Natural Beef Company, an organisation dedicated to using as few additives in meat from paddock to plate as possible. But tonight, he's exposing how some parts of the industry are able to trick their customers and use whatever it takes.
Yeah. I've just got some fine diced beef and my special enzyme. I'm just going to mix it up a bit.
Why have we got the masks on?
This is dangerous. See that? Don't breathe that in.
This powder is transglutaminase enzyme, otherwise known as meat glue. Meat glues come in a number of forms, some produced by cultivating bacteria, the others, the primary ingredient comes from the blood plasma of pigs and cattle, specifically the coagulant which causes blood to clot. In the food industry, it has amazing properties.
So just got a little bit here, about a teaspoonful.
Yep.
Just over the top like that. And with our gloves on, of course, we mix it up.
Then roll it in plastic film and refrigerate. 6 hours later, you have a solid piece of meat.
And essentially, you've got a reborn, rebirthed eye fillet.
More or less, yeah.
Ours uncooked is easy to spot the difference, but cooked is another story.
Okay, so the meat glue one is on the right, and the real McCoy is on the left.
And it's not just beef. Pork, lamb, fish and chicken are all stuck back together using this glue.
It looks like one piece of chicken.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yep.
But hard to tell, isn't it?
Particularly that.
On the grill, it's even harder to pick.
So that's the real McCoy. Give this a burl. Nice and tender, nicely salted. All right, let's go for the meat glue. I can't tell the difference.
Pretty good, but potentially dangerous.
I've sort of got two concerns. One that is well publicised, which is misleading people. The other area is the microbial side.
It's why the European Union moved to ban meat glue in May last year. Microbiologist Glenn Pinner.
If this food is sold or represented as a solid piece of steak and you cook it rare, you're really leaving yourself open to get food poisoning.
Once you glue two pieces together, it's difficult to cook thoroughly those parts that were on the outside but are now on the inside.
The amount of bacteria on a steak that has been put together with meat glue is hundreds of times higher.
So, with the steak, you might drink a beer. In the brewing process, there's lots of cloudy elements in the beer. So to get rid of these cloudy elements, what some companies do is they pour the beer through a sort of gelatin sieve in order to get rid of those cloudiness. This actually also goes for wine as well as fruit juice.
What?
Injectable collagen. Well, since the 70s, collagen from pigs has been used for injecting into wrinkles. And the reason for this is that pigs are actually quite close to human beings, so the collagen is as well. Well, this must be the strangest thing I found. This is a bullet coming from a very large ammunition company in the United States. And at least what I think is the most beautiful in the book is this heart valve. It's actually a very low-tech and very high-tech product at the same time. The low-tech bit is that it's literally a pig's heart valve mounted in the high-tech bit, which is a memory metal casing. And what happens is this can be implanted into a human heart without open heart surgery. And once it's in the right spot, they remove the outer shell, and the heart valve, well, it gets this shape. And at that moment, it starts beating instantly. It's really sort of a magical moment. Well, the last product from the book that I'm showing you is renewable energy, actually to show that my first question, if pigs are still used up until the last bit, was still true. Well, it is, because everything that can't be used for anything else is made into a fuel that can be used as a renewable energy source.
From the clothes we wear to the cars we drive. From what we use to look good to what we use to relax. Our lives are full of products, and our products are full of animals. Tonight, it's the pig. The pig and his skin have parted company, and the skin is ready to go off to the tanning factory.
After that, you can buy fancy goods like shoes, bags, fancy leathers, and stuff like that. Here we've got a defatting machine. We have to take the fat out from the skin and the fat coming out from the other side, so we can take a look.
There it is. So what do you do with this fat?
We are selling that fat, and after that, the other companies producing the hand soap, eyeliner mascara,
what?
For a creams and for a head and for a hand soap straight from here. Yes.
Creams, soaps, mascaras, makeup, cosmetics. You know that lots of cosmetics contain animal fat.
Yeah.
Well, that's animal fat.
Animal fats are still used in lots of products we use every day, from makeup to hand wash and even soap.
He's going to get the pig now and he's going to put it into this pig tank, which will remove the hair. The tank's set at a temperature of about 66 degrees, so it doesn't actually cook the pig, but what it does, it loosens the hair. And
the hot water also cleans the pig's skin and removes contamination.
Oh, look at that!
What a difference.
I'm going to follow the hair onto the next stage of its journey into a hairbrush, as hard as that is to imagine right now.
We can turn this wild boar bristle into a finished hairbrush.
Of their flesh shall ye not eat, and their carcass shall ye not touch. They are unclean to you. They are unclean to you. They are unclean to you. They are unclean to you.
I was looking at the science. I found a 2013 consumer report that discussed how 69% of raw pork samples were contaminated with a number of different bacteria and parasites, particularly very high in Yersinia enterocolitica, which is a really bad parasite to get. It causes a lot of GI stress, so gastrointestinal stress, diarrhea. I mean, a lot of reports of people die all over the world with this sort of infection. And so it's very hazardous. Also, on top of that, you know, pigs are known to carry tapeworms, which, believe it or not, very common. And once we get tapeworms in our system, they're very hard to eliminate. I work with a lot of clients using parasite protocols in order to help eliminate these things, but it's very challenging in order to do that. Parasites will reduce your immune system and put chronic stress on your body. A lot of these people with parasite infections, they don't sleep well at night because parasites stimulate stress hormones at night. If stress hormones go up, the individual doesn't sleep well. In fact, that's one of the signs that you may have a parasite is, you know, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, all of a sudden you're wired, right? And you just can't fall asleep. You struggle to fall asleep no matter how hard you try. That is actually a sign, right, that a well-versed clinician will say, possibly there could be a parasite playing a role here.
The pork tapeworm has two primary hosts, humans and pigs. The parasite larvae form cysts in the muscle tissue of a pig. If a human eats undercooked pork that contains the cysts, they get infected. In the human gut, the cysts hatch into adult tapeworms.
Only on Fox, at this time of year, we hear how important hand washing is to prevent the spread of the cold and flu. Tonight, you'll learn how hand washing could prevent a scary brain condition. A Valley mother of 4 is told that she has a brain tumor, but when doctors go in to remove it, they find something else, something living inside her brain. Rosemary Alvarez savors every minute with her kids.
That was a good throw.
Playing ball and laughing. For this mom, each day with them is a gift after coming too close to death last August.
I thought I had the flu. I started feeling tired.
But within days, this soccer coach and PTA president knew it wasn't the flu. Dr. Nakaji was expecting to find a brain tumor. He showed me the video as he operated on Rosemary's brain, carefully working, knowing this is the most dangerous spot in the human body to work next to, the brainstem.
Here's the lump, and at this point it still looks like a brain tumor, and so we're just opening up into the inside.
And then the unexpected. No tumor, instead a worm. Watch as Dr. Nakaji grabs the worm and gently tugs it out of Rosemary's brain. It's still alive. You don't hear him on the tape, but Nakaji actually chuckles.
Which I'm sure is a very strange response for the people in the operating room, but because I was so pleased to know that it wasn't going to be something terrible.
This worm comes from eating undercooked pork. But more frighteningly, it can be spread by people who have the parasite in their bodies and don't wash their hands well after using the bathroom. But more frighteningly, it can be spread by people who have the parasite in their bodies and don't wash their hands well after using the bathroom. That is the problem.
And it only takes one person who is spreading it constantly to get a lot of people exposed, and some of those people are going to go on to develop this problem.
Of their flesh shall ye not eat, and their carcass shall ye not touch. They are unclean to you. They are unclean to you.
And these parasites that live in the body, and you know that they've got a variety of the pig tapeworm, the whatever tapeworm they have in them, okay? Remember, they eat off the dirt, okay? And if you've got a tapeworm in you, okay, that's bloodsucker. And they purple potatoes, and they're full of protein and stuff, so this is what they eat. And these, of course, are free, given to us. And I'm just going to throw these in there. Let's see if they want to eat anything. Okay, look, smells it, doesn't even want to look at it. You know what they want? I'll tell you. And they don't eat meat. Let's throw all that in there. Okay? Okay, now they're going to eat that. Okay, now watch what happens. We're going to go ahead. They're going to change tunes here in a sec. I already know what they're going to do. I'm going to throw this one over there. And they're getting a variety of stuff. Look. Okay? And the real stinky stuff, you know what they do? They roll in it. They don't eat it, they roll in it first. Now here it goes, watch. I'm going to throw it way over here. See if anybody wants that. Well, let's see. Okay. Oh. Okay, she can eat anything she wants. And this one hasn't got the taste yet, because if Nanu knows that she's eating something better than that, then Nanu is going to steal it from her, because she's the head alpha there. Okay?
Of their flesh shall ye not eat, and their carcass shall ye not touch. They are unclean to you. These shall ye eat of all that are in the waters. Whatsoever hath fins and scales in the waters, in the seas, and in the rivers, them shall ye eat.
Oceans, seas, lakes, rivers, streams, and ponds. Any type of water that has fish in it. These are the rules. Let's look at all the clean fish that we can eat. And that was just a few to name, but there are so many different species of fishes out there. Freshwater, saltwater, rivers, lakes, ponds, streams, the ocean. You just make your pick. There is so many fish to choose from. The key here is scales and fins. So it doesn't matter if it's a goldfish or if it's let's say a tuna, as long as it has scales and fins. It's your preference on what you want to eat, but scales and fins. Depending on where you live in this world, rather close to the ocean or up in the mountains where you have streams, rivers, lakes, ponds, Wherever you live, the rule of thumb is your fish has to have scales and fins. That is it.
And all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers, of all that move in the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you. They shall be an abomination unto you. They shall be even an abomination unto you. Ye shall not eat of their flesh, but ye shall have their carcasses in abomination. Whatsoever hath no fins nor scales in the waters, that shall be an abomination unto you.
So catfish does not have scales. Sharks does not have scales. They have skin. Squids, octopus, any type of jellyfish, tentacle type animals do not have scales nor fins. They are unclean. Stingrays, any types of animals like that, they are unclean. Now let's look at something a little bit closer. Would you lick your filters? How many of you would take your water filter off the sink or the refrigerator at home, empty it out into a cup and start drinking it? So why would you eat the filters that the Most High created to filter the water of dead waste, poop, and decaying filth and call it tasty? Crustaceans such as lobsters, shrimp, crayfish, crabs, conchs, oysters, mussels, all of these shelled fish does not have scales and do not have fins. Crustaceans are the filters for the water. They filter out all the garbage, all the filth, toxins, and waste. They were designed for that specific purpose, not to be eaten by the children of Israel.
And all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers, of all that move in the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you. They shall be an abomination unto you.
Look at this illustration. Even the shrimp, in its nature, cannot stop cleaning.
Absolutely filthy. That's all thanks to you, kid. You made it possible. Jacques, I said no cleaning. I am ashamed.
He hasn't been decontaminated yet. Jacques! Oui. Clean in! Oui. Ocean!
Ouh, la mer! Bon. Voila, he is clean.
Again, we can see how this shrimp is called upon to clean the fish in this cartoon.
Plus, they actually play an important role in their environment. By sucking up particles to eat, they function like natural water filters, making marshes, lakes, and other habitats more livable.
They shall be even an abomination unto you. Ye shall not eat of their flesh, but ye shall have their carcasses in abomination. Whatsoever hath no fins nor scales in the waters, that shall be an abomination unto you. And these are they which ye shall have in abomination among the fowls. They shall not be eaten. They are an abomination. The eagle, and the ossifrage, and the osprey, and the vulture, and the kite after his kind.
The phrase after its kind simply means within the same category, same family, same genealogy, same family tree.
every raven after his kind.
He does all sorts of voices. You say, hi. Hi. Good job. And sometimes he hears people who have a cold. Good job, Mischief.
And the owl, and the nighthawk, and the cuckoo, and the hawk after his kind, and the little owl, and the cormorant, and the great owl, and the swan, and the pelican, and the jeer eagle, and the stork, the heron after her kind, and the lapwing, and the bat. All fowls that creep, going upon all four, shall be an abomination unto you.
Remember, after his kind basically means, again, animals with the same DNA, family, etc. So, ducks, swan, geese, pelicans, all of these animals have one thing in common: webbed feet. So ducks are not clean to eat. Geese are not clean to eat. So the question is, what kind of birds can we eat or can we consume? Well, here's a list of birds that I have put together that are considered clean to eat, that are not listed on the list of birds that we cannot eat. Chickens, doves, pigeons, ptarmigan, quail, turkeys, partridges, guinea fowls. These are just a few of the clean birds. And all clean birds are not scavengers. They do not have webbed feet, and they're not predatory birds. So this is a rule of thumb to follow.
Yet these may ye eat of every flying creeping thing that goeth upon all four, which have legs above their feet, to leap withal upon the earth. Even these of them ye may eat: the locust after his kind, and the bald locust after his kind, and the beetle after his kind, and the grasshopper after his kind.
But were they grasshoppers, or were they locusts? And what's the difference between the two? It's a simple question, but it doesn't have a simple answer. All locusts are grasshoppers, but not all grasshoppers are locusts. Grasshoppers are solitary creatures, out hopping between blades of grass. Locusts are a small handful of grasshopper species when they enter a swarming phase. When a series of factors, which can vary by geographic area, weather, and species, force grasshoppers to crowd each other, their serotonin levels rise, and they begin to swarm.
But all other flying, creeping things which have 4 feet shall be an abomination unto you, and for these ye shall be unclean. Whosoever toucheth the carcass of them shall be unclean until the even. Whosoever toucheth the carcass of them shall be unclean until the even.
So E-number colours aren't just cosmetic. They're a vital tool for food manufacturers because they affect not only the appearance, but the way that we taste their products. But what are the chemicals they're using to achieve these bright colours?
This is E120, cochineal, and it's used in foods to give them a pink colour. It's in things like cakes, in yogurts, it's even in some sausages. But the source of this E-number is really quite extraordinary. It's time to go on a little trip.
Hola! Hola!
Hola, how are you? Hola. Hola, Maria. Now, I hear that you are the cochineal expert of Lanzarote, the queen of cochineal, is that right?
Ah, sí, mucho.
Can you explain to me how cochineal is made?
Oh, sí, vamos, sígueme. Gracias.
It turns out it's not the plants that I'm meant to be looking at, it's the things living on them. Bugs.
Esto es la cochinilla hembra.
These are the female cochinilla right here. So this mouldy old leaf is carrying a kind of a white fluff with some very sleepy bugs underneath it, and these bugs are the source of purple food colouring. Well, it looks extraordinary, doesn't it? It just looks like a mouldy leaf.
Cochineal bugs are tiny, just 5 millimeters long, but it's what's inside them that matters.
Como no, esta es la sangre de la cochinilla.
So it's the blood.
Cochineal bugs are one of the very few insects that produce red carminic acid in their bodies. It's there to stop other insects from eating them, but this acid is also the source of E120, as found in the pink icing of many a fairy cake. But it's not the song that kills them. The heat of the sun does that job. We then shake the dead bugs to remove any dirt.
Oh, contratado.
A pile of dried bugs to a pigment.
Y la molemos de esta manera. Moler bien la cochinilla.
Should I do that for you?
Okay.
It's really hard, isn't it?
Sí, va saliendo el color púrpura.
How's that? Pretty good?
Okay, sí.
Okay.
We boil up roughly 250 crushed bugs and then filter the solution.
Oh, look at that red. So look, that's like coffee grounds.
What we have now is a richly coloured cochineal solution.
If you see the word cochineal or carmine or E120 on the ingredients list of any food, this is what it is you're eating. And this is what it's come from.
Whosoever toucheth the carcass of them shall be unclean until the even.
Over 20 billion cochineal bugs are harvested each year to make the colour in loads of products including sausages and yogurts, mostly number coloured.
And whosoever beareth aught of the carcass of them shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the even.
Face is covered up there. It is asleep. Look at the size of this animal's paws. It is bigger than my hand. That is crazy. And so heavy. So much weight and so much muscle in the front section of this cat. You guys want to see those claws, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Ready for this? Hold on, let me kind of sit down here. Get ready. That is impressive right there.
And whatsoever goeth upon his paws among all manner of beasts that go on all four, those are unclean unto you. Whoso toucheth their carcass shall be unclean until the even.
We as Israel do not eat any of these unclean animals, but to the rest of the world, they can have it. Here is a small, short list of pawed animals after its kind.
These also shall be unclean unto you among the creeping things that creep upon the earth. The weasel, and the mouse, and the tortoise after his kind, and the ferret, and the chameleon, and the lizard, and the snail, and the mole. These are unclean to you among all that creep. Whosoever doth touch them, when they be dead, shall be unclean until the even. And upon whatsoever any of them, when they are dead, doth fall, it shall be unclean, whether it be any vessel of wood, or raiment, or skin, or sack, whatsoever vessel it be, wherein any work is done, it must be put into water, and it shall be unclean until the even. And every earthen vessel whereinto any of them falleth, whatsoever is in it shall be unclean, and ye shall break it. And every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth shall be an abomination, it shall not be eaten. Whatsoever goeth upon the belly, and whatsoever goeth upon all four, or whatsoever hath more feet among all creeping things that creep upon the earth, them ye shall not eat, for they are an abomination. Ye shall not make yourselves abominable with any creeping thing that creepeth, neither shall ye make yourselves unclean with them, that ye should be defiled thereby. For I am the Lord your God. Ye shall therefore sanctify yourselves, and ye shall be holy. For I am holy. Ye shall therefore sanctify yourselves, and ye shall be holy. For I am holy.
In everything that we eat, we have to be careful what we put into our bodies. Food, medications, all of these things have been contaminated because we live in such a defiled world. So moving forward, we have to be very, very careful.
And the Lord said, Even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, whither I will drive them.
Even in the iodine that we have, is it plant-based iodine like seaweed, or is it the shellfish iodine that's made from various strains of shellfish?
This bluish liquid is one of the most expensive resources in the world. No, it's not the blue milk from Star Wars. It's actually blood from a horseshoe crab. And the stuff this blood makes costs $60,000 a gallon. So why is it so expensive? And who's buying horseshoe crab blood? The blue color comes from copper in the blood. But that's not its most interesting feature. The blood contains a special clotting agent. It's used to make a concoction called limulus amoebocyte lysate, or LAL.
Limulus polyphemus has long been valued by the biopharmaceutical industry as a source of critical proteins that detect the presence of harmful bacterial endotoxin. Called limulus amoebocyte lysate, LAL, these proteins come from the animal's blood cells, amoebocytes, and serve as the foundation of the LAL endotoxin test. In the 50 years since its discovery, LAL has proven to be the most sensitive and effective indicator of endotoxin contamination in treatments like vaccines, IV drugs, and medical devices. IV drugs, and medical devices.
An animal crawling beneath the waters of Tampa Bay could be the key to a coronavirus vaccine. It's much smaller than a horse, about the size of a shoe, and it walks like a crab, hence the name, the horseshoe crab.
Endotoxins are molecules from the cell walls of certain bacteria, including E. coli. Large amounts of them are released when bacterial cells die, and they can make us sick if they enter the bloodstream. Many of the medicines and medical devices we rely on can become contaminated, so we have to test them before they touch our blood. We do have tests called gram stains that detect bacteria, but they can't recognize endotoxins, which can be there even when bacteria aren't present. So scientists use an extract called LAL, produced from harvested horseshoe crab blood, to test for endotoxins. They add LAL to a medicine sample, and if gels form, bacterial endotoxins are present. Today, the LAL test is used so widely that millions of people who've never seen a horseshoe crab have been protected by their blood. If you've ever had an injection, that probably includes you.
A vaccine here for COVID-19, but it's not really like an animal, a horse, kind of like a crab, but what is it directly related to?
So get this, neither one. It's actually most closely related to a spider, and we'll have more on that.
Neither shall ye defile yourselves with any manner of creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. For I am the Lord that bringeth you up out of the land of Egypt to be your God. Ye shall therefore be holy, for I am holy. This is the law of the beasts, and of the fowl, and of every living creature that moveth in the waters, and of every creature that creepeth upon the earth, to make a difference between the unclean and the clean, and between the beast that may be eaten and the beast that may not be eaten.